I love that my first few vlogs, I had like my hair done and makeup and all the things. And now this is like post shower, air dried hair, no makeup. Like I just don't even care anymore, which is a really good thing, right? Like this is just me. I'm wearing pajama bottoms currently right now. So hi, just wanted to check in, had some thoughts about this sort of idea of one-upping versus sort of commiserating or validating someone else's feelings or thoughts or opinions or experiences. So I have a tremendous amount of experience with one-uppers in my life. And this is the kind of story where you're going through something and that person is immediately like, oh no, let me tell you, this is what I have been through. And their story immediately goes on to discount your feelings, make sure that you know that they win and you lose in the emotional intensity, whether it's good or bad, of your experience, of your story. And that obviously is not okay. I do think, however, that there is a difference in the one-upper person versus a person that perhaps does jump in right away and say, oh my gosh, yeah, the other day, blah, 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 and goes on to share their experience. I think sometimes, it can, if you're the original storyteller, it can start to feel like that person maybe is one-upping or is trying to shift the focus so then it becomes about them and not about you. And maybe you were coming into that situation needing some attention, right? Like needing some love, needing some healing, needing to get your story told and out. And what I've started to realize is I am the person that jumps in and says, oh my gosh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. A perfect example. So I have a friend who is working on building some healthy habits, right? And they are maybe not in a position to go bonkers or rama in some healthy habits. So we're starting really small and they're like going on walks and stuff, which is amazing. Walks are awesome. And what I have realized I do, so this person will reach out to me and be like, oh my God, I went for a walk. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I just went for this long run. And my intention in that is not to say, oh, that's really cute that like you went for a walk, but me over here, amazingness Sarah, I went for a run, which is like better, and so I win. That is in no way my intention. What my intention is to say, yo, I am so proud of you, and I get it. Maybe you didn't want to go for that walk, and you did, and I'm so proud of you. I didn't want to go for my run, and I did, and it's a great feeling, and I resonate with that with you right now. I get it. I see you. I'm literally feeling how you're feeling. This is so exciting. I see you, right? Now, that's not always how it's received, I am sure, not in this particular situation, but just in those sort of energies or vibes. If you have a person like me in your life who immediately tries to identify with you, what I will say, and what I'm realizing particularly about myself when I do that, which I know I do it a lot, what I'm really, really trying to do is say, I see you and I hear you and I can identify with what you're feeling because I have felt the same way. You are not alone. In my doing that is my way, side note, that is my way of reaffirming to myself that I am not alone, right? So I think there is this yearning for community, for being seen, for being heard, for not being alone in something. And sometimes it doesn't always come across exactly the best way. And what I invite you to do is, if you're a person like me, is to, first and foremost, the one thing I'm working on the most is to not interrupt. I get really excited when someone shares a story with me and I have a similar experience. I get really excited to be like, oh my gosh, I have the same experience. I totally understand where you're coming from. I see you, I hear you, I accept you, you're not alone. Like, I want to scream that to the person, and I get really excited and I interrupt and I start telling my story. And again, my intention is not to make it necessarily about me, but to say, I get it, I totally get it, right? And to keep it actually be about the other person, but it doesn't always come across that way. So if you're that person, first and foremost, I would encourage you to try not to interrupt the person's story of whatever they're telling, whether it's good or bad. Try not to interrupt, try to listen and be a really, really lovely audience to that story. Once the story has been told and shared with you, then make sure that you choose your words very, very carefully and in a non-one-uppy sort of way, right? So instead of, and again, I'm going to use, like I said, I definitely have people in my life who the second I start to tell a story, they're like, oh no, let me tell you. So like if your inclination is to start your response that way, oh no. Or, oh, when I did that. If you're starting a story and immediately going, sit down, honey, let me tell you. If you're coming into it that energy, shut up. Just shut the F up. You are not in any way trying to make that other person feel better or feel validated or feel not alone. You are trying to pad your ego. You need to go somewhere else with that. You need to find your ego boost somewhere else. Do not find it with that person. So choose your words wisely, right, in the beginning. I do think it is totally acceptable once the person has finished telling their story and you are not interrupting them to say something like, you know what? I totally get it. I recently had a similar experience and it sounds like exactly what you're saying. You are so not alone in this. To make sure that your focus and if your intention and focus is to make sure that the other person feels validated and part of a similar community, then make sure that you are using inclusive language and words, that you are using love and caring and kindness and compassion as you share your story. If you're a person that is constantly feeling like you're telling your story and everybody's coming at you with their stuff, I do think it is okay. Okay, this is what I will say. If it's a person who's a one-upper, you just have to stop going to that person. And that is something I have had to learn for myself. I need to just stop because I try to tell my story. I get one-upped. I get made to feel less than. They win. I lose. And I just feel like shit about the entire situation. And it is no bueno, right? So I just stop going to those people. If you have one-uppers in your life, stop going to them. Maybe you can go to them for other stuff, not for your stories and things like that. If you're a person that does have a ton of people or feels like you're always being met with the, oh my gosh, I totally get it, you need to decide if that's okay or not, right? Like if you feel okay receiving that sort of feedback. If you are in a space where you don't want to hear someone else's story, you absolutely have the right, even if they're coming into it with the best of intentions, just to make sure you don't feel alone. Maybe you know you're not alone. You just need to get it out. You absolutely, absolutely, absolutely should say, I totally get it that you're trying to help me or validate my feelings, but I honestly am not in the space where I can hear your story. Maybe a different day, but right now I kind of need it to be totally about me because this is like a lot. Again, it could be good or bad. If that person is not the one-upper person, they will get it. They will 100% get it. And I've actually done this and it felt really selfish and icky at the time to be like, I totally get it, but like, can I kind of keep telling my story? I still haven't gotten out everything that I need to get out. There's something that still needs to be processed and can I just keep going with it? And it has been so amazingly received that I'm wondering why I did not just try this tactic earlier. So, that's like a little bit to think about, right? So maybe you have some homework. Maybe you have to stop and take some time at some point today to think if you're a one-upper and just be really honest with yourself. I used to be a one-upper because I just wanted to be seen and validated. I now realize where that's coming from and I'm trying really hard to work on it. If you are the person who is not necessarily looking for validation for you, but because you at some point in your life so desperately needed it that you are very eager to hand out validation and a sense of community to other people. Just make sure you're checking yourself every once in a while. Make sure that that person has been seen and heard in the way they need to be seen and heard. And if you sharing your story helps in that, awesome, but it might not, and you need to be okay with that. If you're the person that needs to get your story out and seen and heard, and you have a person that's trying to create that sense of community and you're not at a place where you can welcome it, please, please, please feel validated, feel the power and the courage to just say that. None of us are perfect in our relationships, but I do believe that every single one of us just wants to feel loved, right? And if you just want to feel loved, I am assuming and hoping that you also want everyone around you to feel loved. There is huge power in the sharing of our stories and the wanting to be validated and or validate others. Let's just make sure that we're doing it with the best of intentions and that we're always coming from a very kind and loving space. All right, that's a quick little talk on one-uppers versus wanting to validate others. Hopefully you find this helpful. Let's continue the conversation. Yeah, if you want, shoot me a message and let me know your thoughts on this. Hey, you can also check out some of the actual yoga practices here on the YouTube channel. There's just a couple of free ones on there. If you want access to the entire library of Shiny Happy Yoga practices, go to shinyhappyyoga.com and check out signing up for the online studio there. All right, guys, have an awesome day. Be well. Thanks for listening.